What's good, YouTube? It's the Novice back for another review. I'm gonna be reviewing, guys, a movie called Snowpiercer. It's a sci-fi, how would I say, sci-fi psychological thriller. I guess it's one of those post-apocalyptic stories. Um, Came out 2013 and it's starring Chris Evans, Jamie Bell, John Hurt, some other actors I don't know, and I'll just leave it there. Oh, Octavia Spencer as well. And I'll just leave it there because I think there's some surprises in this movie who you shouldn't know about because it would spoil it for you. This movie came out in 2013, so my original thoughts when this movie was starting, obviously I've heard good things about it. Um, when I was starting, I was like, oh, this seems like the production value is a bit too 2000s to me, and the bad side of the 2000s, not the what's a good movie, visual effects movie, production value movie from the 2000s. You guys probably know what I'm getting at. So this movie started, and I was looking at it. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I like the idea of this movie though. So that's how the first act was for me. The first act, all I will say, can can I spoil it? I won't. All I'll say is that just like every other post-apocalypse story, something happened to the world, and this is the result. There's the I just yeah, it's post-apocalypse, so you know something happened that caused an apocalypse, more or less, and the remaining humans that survived. This is the story about them in a specific place and location. But that's all I'll say without getting too much into it. Um, at the start of this movie, obviously Chris Evans. I'm telling you, him as an actor, I'll get to it. Um, Actually, let me get straight to it. There's a scene he has in maybe like right before the third act of this movie where he just bears out his soul, and that really hit me, man. That this guy, he really needs Captain America was the best and worst thing to happen to him because yes, people understand that the value of that kind of pure-hearted character, but for the most part, you think he's pure-hearted. You think he's the reluctant leader who humbles himself and has that some insecurities here and there, but is like a good-natured person. And then something happens where he lays out how he got to where he is right now, and it's like, oh, oh wow, okay, you, yeah, your hands are not clean. So he has that range that I wish I could see in more movies, like in the years to come. Hopefully, he does like more thrillers and movies like this because he needs to do stuff like this. I think Scarlett Johansson is probably the only other person. I don't care about Mark Ruffalo and obviously Robert Downey Jr. But yeah, we need to see more of these um, people show like, range in other roles. So hopefully they get supported. Like Chadwick Boseman with 21 Bridges. But that's what stuck out to me first. Chris Evans and his character. But I think obviously that was on purpose because he's the main character in the movie. Though other things around him, like the first act doesn't appeal to me. That's the big problem with this movie. The first act, like it felt too dry, and I think the problem with me is that there was a time where I would have watched this movie and I would have been in from the start because of the feeling that this movie gave me. But the maybe the older I get, maybe the more I'm learning about this movie thing, the more I'm realizing that you know what, if you're someone who starts to think too much with these kind of movies, sci-fi's, thrillers, even fantasy, to in a certain way, your head will be effed up quick. You're like, oh, this doesn't make sense, but this doesn't make sense. But how did they all? And there are things, some things are explained later on in the movie, the second and third act. That's when the movie kicks off for me. So, first off, positive, obviously Chris Evans. Another positive, the second act. This is when things kick off. I'll just say things kick off from there, and when they do, voila, it's beautiful. And I'll tell you why it's beautiful because here's another thing I liked about this movie: the production value, and just that Chris Evans and his performance is something that kind of at first I did not like it. I didn't hate Chris Evans actually. I liked him, but it's almost similar. Like this, he has a piece of dialogue in the third act that takes me for a loop a little bit with his character because I just don't think of him in my mind as that kind of guy. The same with the production value. Production value to a fault, in my opinion, is just a little grimy. Like I get it. There's have-nots and there's haves, and Chris Evans is like part of the group. He's more or less the leader of the have-nots in this situation, and they look so grimy. Like I'm thinking, like, don't you have basic wash? Like, to don't you haven't you figured out a system to? You obviously have a system there. Otherwise, you would just be like grimy, degenerate, homeless people just waiting to die from disease and all that stuff. So the fact that they all looked a bit grimy, do you know what I mean? That's the kind of thinkiness that I definitely recommend this movie for people who just are used to this kind of stuff. And it's not about what they're watching; it's about how they're watching it. So if you're someone who you like the feeling of this tense situation, then watch this movie. But if you're like me, then keep watching this movie, but wait until the second act. Which the reason I liked it, I liked the action. I like how the director Bong Joon Ho, his name. I think he's the guy who did Parasite, or I'm racist, or both, whichever. Um, but in the second act, action starts, and that was what appealed to me specifically because they like to play with the environment, and I love that. So there's a scene with like a foggy corridor. There's another scene where I won't say how exactly, no spoilers, but they make you imagine in this situation, in this specific location, what if one of your senses didn't work? Like sight, smell, taste, hearing. What if one of those things completely, like you're trying to take people down and then, oh, oh shoot, how do I? It's one of them. It's one of them situations, and I love that scene because the way they improvised for it was good. Another positive, that second act. I love it. There's a mini boss, guys. If you see my videos, you know a big thing that attracts me, more so with like TV that I watch, but now officially with movies too. I love mini bosses, and there was a mini boss in this movie when this brother comes out. Oh, made me feel good. Like it took a lot. It took a lot to fight this person, and it was worth it, man. I'm telling you. So, okay, those are the positives. The second act and the third act. Chris Evans, a couple other characters. I like John Hurt. John Hurt is one of those characters. If you know who I'm talking about, the actor. John Hurt is one of those characters. I always feel like I'm about to hear bad news from him about like a family member of mine. Like, oh, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your aunt has rabies. You know what I mean? He's just one of them characters. There's something about his voice is like it's so you. I want to listen to him. I can't stop listening to him, but I feel like he's so morbid at the same time. I love it. It's a weird thing to like about someone, but that's just it. Just resonates with me. And then the third act, I like the twist because someone shows up. I can't spoil it, but I'll just put it this way: I'm a fan of the Truman Show, and I'm a fan of Westworld season one and bits of season two. There's someone who shows up. He's from those things. I've more or less spoiled it now. And just in keeping with science fiction, he's is a he. This person is There's more or less spoilers. I spoiled it. You know what? Let me just uh second act, third act, liked it. I recommend this movie. I'm going into spoilers. So the guy I'm talking about is Ed Harris, and Ed Harris, he's like the leader of this train, and it made me feel so good because it made so much sense for a character. He always plays those characters. The Truman Show, he was like he's the. They almost made it seem like he was a god in that movie. The Man in Black, he's that dude. Westworld's. I haven't. I dropped off because of season two. I had a lot of issues with it, but I'm a fan of him from season one for sure. Oh, love the Man in Black. He's the brother. Mm. Like when he explains the way the train works, that there has to be like a balance. I thought to myself, not in those words, that this is a better version of Thanos from Infinity War than Thanos. It actually makes sense. When you think about the implications of revolution, let's say, um, oh yeah, what spoilers? Yeah, let's say Chris Evans' character kills him, takes over the train. Are you gonna make sure that everyone gets that nice luxury food that was in the front parts of the train? That everyone gets the best. Some things, yes, you can divvy out against with everyone on the train, but I do wonder, would people have to go to like totalitarian methods just to keep the train running the best way? Would people have to segregate like the lavish from the basic to make sure that people have sugar, to make sure that people have access to that? I don't know, but it's an interesting thing to think about, and that's what one of the biggest gems in this movie that has you thinking. There's even a question of why don't people just try to escape the train itself, which they kind of question in the movie, that the world outside is of the train isn't so, but they try, and then obviously by the end of this movie the train crashes, and I'm left wondering that this put up so many interesting ideas about revolution, about how people would live if they were truly honest with themselves about what they had to do to live. Like we are I am so comfortable. I have first world problems. The Wi-Fi is down. This and that. Do you know what I mean? If I had to live in a situation where I'm on an island, I'm on a train like this, and I was in a position where I had to organize who goes to what, would there be a point in time where eventually I just have to accept, you know what, some people ain't getting this shit, because we need to make sure that everyone has a basic way of living at the very least. Some people are gonna get a lot less. Would would that happen to me? Would I become that person? It makes me believe that deep down, some people, it's less about what you're willing to do. It's more about if you have the stomach to do it. Or maybe that's just a naive thought with science fiction. But I like that this made me think about that. So that's the big takeaway. To spoil it, yeah, that's the big takeaway from this movie. Is ideas of what to really do if you were organized society, if you were in this position where lives on the line, more lives possibly than not, if you don't take these certain measures, which is interesting to think about because of what's happening right now, right? So, all in all, man, I like this movie. Um, yeah, I'm assuming you've watched it already. If you're on the spoiler part, I definitely recommend it. Yeah, tell me, guys, what your thoughts are below. Um, and yeah, see you later.